I need to make a fresh batch of shellac. Now shellac, you can buy it in flake form, or you can actually get it ready made up, whichever is most convenient to you. I like to make my own. So I'll buy a bag of these flakes. Now these are de-waxed, and it's the super blonde shellac flakes, which is the lightest colour. They do come in a variety of different colours, but I prefer the de-waxed ones because it means I can, although you can apply shellac over most finishes, if they're de-waxed, you can apply other finishes on top of the shellac, which is definitely a benefit sometimes. But all I do is I want to create a £2 cut, but I don't want £2 of shellac. And a £2 cut, by the way, is £2 of this, which would be quite expensive, to a gallon of methylated spirits. That's only 2 litres, and that's big enough. So what I do is I take a small jam jar like that I've got a screw cap lid for. I'll tip the camera down so you can see exactly how I'll go about it. There we go. There you can see my tiny little scales there. They're just little cheap Amazon digital scales, but they're ideal for this. Put your jar on there, switch it on, and in fact I'll turn it sideways, and then you can see the counter as well, and it is 0. So by weight, I do it all by weight. So what I want to do is to have 25 grams of flakes, and I have crushed these up a little bit. Where are we at? There we go. Oop. Where are we at? 15, 16, 19, 21, nearly there. 24.98. I think we'll call that 25 grams. I'm going to seal the bag back up. I'll keep this in a bag out of the light, and then I'll put it in a cupboard where it's nice and dry. Now to this I add 82 grams of methylated spirit. So I'm going to 0 that counter again. There we go, 0'd. And carefully pour 82 grams in. See where we're at, 43, 17. Ooh, 84. I've just gone over there by 2 grams. It won't matter that much, as long as you're there or thereabouts. Pop the lid back on and start shaking it up. And now the thing to do is literally every few minutes just keep shaking this about or stirring it round, whichever is easiest for you, with the lid on. It will take about 24 hours for all this to dissolve properly, depending on the temperature. I'll probably just take this into the house and then I can give it a swish round every so often, and we'll come back once that's dissolved, basically, because that's all that happens. The flakes dissolve in the alcohol, and then we've got a shellac ready, and it'll be ready to use. Right, it's the next day. I've kept swishing this around. Last night most of it had dissolved by late evening, but don't put the crystals in there and just leave them, because all you'll end up with is a sticky sludgy mess in the bottom of the jar. You must keep swishing it round every few minutes. But once we've got it to that state, there may be some impurities in it. This stuff that I'm using is pretty good. In fact, if I get the jar open, oh, There we go. What I'm going to do now is, in case there are any impurities in it, I've got a coffee filter here and a little jar. I'm just literally going to pour this through the coffee filter and let that drain down. And that way, if there are any bits in here, then we'll catch them, hopefully. It does take a few minutes. So I'll let that drip down through there. And as soon as we've got that filtered, we'll look at the next step. Right, that's all just about drained down. There's a tiny bit in there, but yeah, looks okay that. There doesn't seem to be many bits in the bottom, so just discard that over there in the bin. Put the lid on that just for a second. And I've made a little label up here. It's always a good idea to put a date on, because this will be good now for about, I'd say 3 months, maybe depending on how you store it, you might get 6 months. If you use some and after half an hour it's still sticky, I'd say that's it, its shelf life is over. And that's why I just make it in very small quantities. But what I'm going to do with this now is I have this other jar here with a brush permanently fixed into the lid. Well, when I say it's fixed in, it's basically there's a hole in the lid. And what I normally do is I'll take a bit of masking tape, I'll wrap it round there, and then I'll jam that into there nice and firmly. So what I want to do is I use this jar for a thinned down version, and I've got a scale on the side of the jar there. So what I'll do is I'll pour, let's say, half of this into here, because I've got little marks on the side. Come to the first mark, there we go. Keep the lid on nice and firmly, and that will then keep in the cupboard. So that's a £2 cut, so we could use that if we needed to put a proper finish on anything. But this I'm going to use as a sealing coat. And where have I put my sorry about that, my big bottle of methylated spirits. So we're going to add the same quantity again of methylated spirits. There we go. And give that a good swish round just to get it all to mix together, and it mixes very readily. We've now got our brush that can live like that in the cupboard, and this brush doesn't quite touch the bottom of the jar. It sits just, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, maybe only 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of the jar, and it's fine like that. It's a nylon bristled brush if you're interested. And then if we got a piece of wood, this is the piece I put through the planer the other day. It hasn't been sanded or anything, it's just literally straight off the planer. And there we go. We've got a sealing coat on there, and that will dry remarkably quickly. So, shellac. It's quite a simple product to use. A little bit of a faff in terms of preparing it. You need to just plan ahead, basically. If you make that up a day or two before you intend to use it, you know, jobs are good and then. I will also put a label on this jar as well, so that we know exactly when I did it, because I will forget, I'm bound to, and I'm sure a lot of you will as well. That is still wet. I did put it on quite thick. But the nice thing about shellac is it's not harmful. it has quite a pleasant odour as well. Mainly the methylated spirits. Maybe that's the alcohol thing, I don't know. But anyway, but it's just really useful. It'll raise the grain a little bit. When that's dried off, I can then get a fine piece of sandpaper, denib it, and then I could varnish it with anything else that I wanted to. Anyway, I hope that's been of some help to you. I'd like to see if you give it a try. As I say, you can buy the flakes on Amazon and all sorts of other places. Methylated spirits you'll get at your local hardware store, or denatured alcohol in the USA. Give it a try. Rather, because a bottle like that is quite expensive. But if you can just make up a little bit every now and again when you need it, that bag I've had probably a couple of years, I think. So it lasts and lasts. But I don't use it on everything. I just use it perhaps on a wood turned item, or if I'm doing a restoration on a piece of furniture, then I will use it. And it's ideal for those sort of things. That's almost dry. But that is a well thinned down coat now. Some people may only put half the quantity I put in of additional methylated spirits. It's entirely up to you what you use, but it will work. Anyway, till next time, take care. Bye now.